Welcome everyone to this episode of Discourse, where today we will be reviewing A Dance Between Light and Darkness by MC Ryder. The war is over. Vladimir has been defeated, but not without tragedy. Now, a new era has begun. One where vampires and werewolves are united for the greater good. The future is bleak. Vince has found himself in charge of the vampires while he mourns for the one he lost. He fears he'll turn into the evil that's naturally in his blood. When bodies start piling up with Dragon's Eye symbol, Vince goes on high alert. He discovers someone from his past is still at large he wants to settle a score with, along with an unknown threat, one that may just be more of a sinister evil.
So who is this person from the past?
Right, so where we start off is basically like post-war, right, from the first book, because this is the sequel of The Darkest Side of the Moon. So that was the first book. So this book is the second one. So we're starting off in post-war. This is after Nadine or Nadia killed Vladimir. She basically did what she was destined to do, right? It was prophesized that the one with the dragon's eye symbol, would defeat Vladimir.
Where Vince, the son of Vladimir, the ruler of all the vampires, the original, pretty much takes over, and his main job is reconditioning, these vampires that he kind of took charge of.
Exactly. Like, so
or captured.
All the wild, I guess, type of vampires who want to feast on people and things like that. He's basically taking them in and he's trying to retrain their brain, right? Kind of help them through those urges and really try to make them more like living at peace with humans, or at least for the most part just be more comfortable so that they can live in peace, the humans can live in peace, and they don't have to be like these evil monsters, which is kind of the overall feeling I feel Vince has.
Kind of funny because he goes to high school and he's going to school with all these kids while his dad is like this evil dude that impales other vampires and kills humans and drinks their blood, and it's like,
I love that he was sent there as like as a punishment. He's like, you're gonna go to this high school because what's more horrible, and that's like a terrible thing, having to go through high school. Like, we've all been there,
But now he's taken over,
right?
And he runs a prison and rehab, I guess, center, because he created his own army, and then now he's in control of all the vampires. So his main job, I guess, is going around capturing vampires that are still at large and causing problems, imprisoning them, and trying to, rehab them into being not normal, but...
No, just more comfortable in the world that they live in now. Yeah. And also, so like, this is going on, but in the background, there's this unknown figure.
A man with the black hood.
Right, that he keeps popping up and we don't know his motives, but there are things happening that he obviously has set in motion or has set in place. So Vince and his team and all the other people, like all the werewolves and stuff.
Oh, werewolves. Where?
What?
How do they get into this?
Oh, I know.
What's their involvement?
Yeah, the vampires and the werewolves start working together, at least trying to come together to unite against the worser evil, I suppose. They're trying to track down this unknown hooded figure and to see what it is that he is planning, because also he's killing innocent people along the way and leaving the dragon's eye symbol on the dead bodies. And
that hooded figure, the man in black, he's always dressed in black, he's hooded, no one knows what he looks like. He kind of threw a wrench into Vince's, and the werewolf leader is Lamont, because he pops out of nowhere, and aside from killing, has Camille with him when they find him.
Right, I know. Camille's back.
Who's this backstabbing chick that...
I know.
Yeah, she messed everything up.
I know, honestly, from like the first moment we were introduced to Camille in the first book, I was like, okay, this girl's your best friend? Dude, she's doing you wrong, like, she's from trouble. Moment one. In this book, compared to the first one, I feel like there's so much more emotion. A lot of the characters are dealing with a lot of emotion, regret, wanting to be better. So they're obviously growing as individuals, and they're creating relationships with each other, right? Yeah. Especially like between the werewolves and the vampires. Like they're fighting alongside each other, and they're trying to do what's best for the world.
And it's kind of weird because the werewolves, they were, bitter rivals with the vampires, and they were in hiding. And now some still are because their choice, but most of them are out in the open, running out in the sunlight and friends with the vampires. Yeah. It's interesting watching their relationship. Yeah. And each character, as you mentioned, they do have like their own personalities, their own ways of dealing with this.
Right. Yeah, especially Vince. I mean, he's struggling with so much. Like, he feels like...
He doesn't want to turn into his dad. Like, he has, like, these...
I mean, I feel like that's...
rages
like,
and
that's
anger.
Like, that's, like, the ultimate thing, though, right? Like, I don't want to end up like my parents or, like, my mom or dad or whatever
But then he does something. He's like, oh, man, that reminded me of my dad. Or, I was this close into doing something like him. And
yeah. So the first one was told in third person, and the sequel, this book, is told through first person perspective, through Melia and Vince's point of views. But it's definitely a different writing style, so you get a different take on what's going on.
Melia. Who is Melia?
Melia is the new character introduced. For some reason, like, yeah. I mean, we're introduced to her really quickly in the story
because of the man in the black hood.
Right. So there's that connection there. But we still don't know what is happening between them, right? Like, why did he get her to be created? Because she was once human. The hooded man hypnotizes Camille and, like, makes her one of his minions, and this is how Melia came about. And she's one of the main characters now in this book. And I feel like she plays like a huge, huge role. I mean, she is turned into a vampire, like I said. And I feel like she also has a lot of depth to her because of where she comes from on her human perspective. And then now with like the vampire part of her, which she's a different kind of vampire. And we still don't know exactly all the details, which I find very interesting.
So they told her, you can't go home anymore. Forget your family, forget your mom. You don't have to go back to work. You're a vampire. You're going to drink only blood and have no taste for anything else. Like, how do you feel? And she was like, cool, I guess. So I don't have to go home? Nice. But apparently, they were scared of her. I guess the vampire...
No,
bloodsuckers, the vampire bloodsuckers, were more powerful. I don't know, but I don't know. There was this funny scene. Niles, he's like the stock boy. He keeps inventory of all the blood, the donations, all that stuff, and he rations out all the blood to the other vampires. So Vince goes up to him. Vince tasks Niles to go take some blood to her, befriend her, and kind of keep an eye on her, like, so she's not all alone and go crazy, I guess. So Niles was like, what? I'm too fabulous to die. Like, are you serious?
I love that.
And then Vince's like, you'll be fine. And Niles, it cuts back to Niles, like, but how do you know she won't, like, rawr. And I could just envision him, like, the way the author wrote it is like, he put his arms out into, like, a clawing motion and he growled. And this guy, this petite little vampire, is just like... So that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I love the humor in this book. It's really good. Yeah. It's super... Like, I feel like I am a part of this conversation. Yeah. And this is all just really happening. It's great.
Like all serious, and they're looking for this killer hypnotizer, and then you get scenes like this. Yeah. And Vince is cool with him. He's like the one dude... He's just funny. He's always happy-going, and you ask him to do something, and he'll respond like that, but he'll do it. Yeah. But he has a friend that's the werewolf, Oliver, who's also tasked to, I guess, protect Niles, and also befriend Melia. So the whole book starts off rehabilitating these vampires, changing themselves, working alongside the werewolves. But then it turns into this hooded figure in the graveyard with Camille from the first book, who is like a backstabber. This werewolf that gets hypnotized, and he's like a troublemaker. And Melia, who Camille turns into a vampire, and this hooded figure, I think, turns her into the vampire killer, whatever you call him. Now they're trying to figure out who this dude is. Doesn't sound like a vampire. Doesn't sound like a werewolf. Doesn't sound like a human.
I'm hoping it's
Who is this guy?
A warlock.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A warlock or a witch?
Because they said
man-witch?
witches
Man-witch.
weren't around anymore. Oh, God, a man-witch. Able. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and be sure to check out A Dance Between Light and Darkness by MC Ryder.